This video is going to be going over my homebrew rules for the Tau Stealth Battlesuits. This team was suggested by a viewer, and before we get into the rules, I wanted to go over my objective here. Right now for the Battlesuits, you can run a full team of them out of the compendium, but if you do, you limit yourself pretty heavily for options. You only end up with a few drone options and one strategic ploy. So here I wanted to take the compendium team and make them feel more like a complete team by adding some additional rules to them. So it is based off the compendium team, just stuff added on top of that. So for list building, it has the same two models of stealth suit that you would normally have, but you can designate one of your non-leader options to be a drone controller. Besides this, you have several drone options. Each model you replace gives you 2 drone options, up to a maximum of 4. These are the gun, shield, marker, guardian, and recon drones. But you can only take one of each of the guardian and recon options. In each of the others you can take twice. The rules for artificial intelligence and the savior protocols are directly from the compendium, so nothing's changed there, but they're still in this rule set. And then we get into marker lights. I ended up changing this and actually using the Pathfinder rules for marker lights instead. I just thought the stacking tokens were more interesting and would give you another approach to combat where you could stay concealed and just try to stack marker lights before you actually start the fighting. So the first 2 data sheets is exactly from the compendium. You have your options or range weapons, and they obviously have their camo fields to give them cover. The drone operator has an ability where he can use one action to either stack activations with the drone and get rid of their inability to perform mission actions, or allow one of them to do a free dash or shoot action. The drones are still the same for their perspective models. I thought the drones were one of the coolest things in the actual compendium when it launched, and I didn't think they needed massively overhauled. Now we're to the point where I actually had to start doing more work on this homebrew, and that's the ploys. Camouflage field engagement remains the same where you can change the orders. That's the only one here directly from the compendium for strategic ploys. I added the bonding knife ritual, which allows you to turn any stealth suits near your leader into APL 3 and let them ignore being injured. I added coordinated engagement, which allows you to perform back-to-back overwatch. If you don't take the drones and run a fairly small team here, this can allow you to get some really solid damage off later in the turn. And I wanted to mention here, if you want to download these rules, I'll have a link to my website for you to download them from. The site right now is really basic, but it's an easier way to send people to the rules than a ton of Google Drive files. I don't have all of my homebrews on there yet, but I'm hoping to get them all in one place by the end of the month. For tactical ploys, we still have stand and fire and supporting fire, but I also added the repulsor impact field. You can use this ploy when an enemy declares a fight action against you, and you get to resolve one parry before any other hits, meaning you'll take less damage if you get engaged in melee combat. This team now has their faction-specific tac ops as well. The first is infiltrate their lines, where you need to get 2 or more stealth suits into the enemy deployment zone. Then there's stealth tactics, where you need to incapacitate more enemy operatives than they did friendly, while more than half your operatives have a conceal order. This shouldn't be too tricky with this team, but you'll really have to plan it out. And finally, we have sabotage infrastructure, where if you are in their drop zone, you can perform an action named victory point. This first page of equipment is all stuff you had access to in the compendium team, but I did add a few extra equipment in there to give you more options. The first is Advanced AI Chip, which removes the first 3 bullet points of the AI ability, which makes them able to do mission actions, gives them their full APL for holding objectives, and they can use cover when they have an engage order. There's a shield generator that gives a 4-up invul, a counter defense system that gives you no negatives to Overwatch, and finally an advanced targeting system that lets you use an action and gain no cover on a shooting attack. I know I basically did a speed run of these rules, but since it's using a pre-made team as a base, and just expanding on those to make it more interesting, I didn't think I needed to do as much of a deep dive. Thank you for watching.